Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Absolutely Podcast, the podcast specifically designed to help women defeat diet culture and live their dream healthy lifestyle. I am so excited for today's episode because I'm going to be talking about the key to consistency. And I know there's a lot of different discourse out there on the internet of motivation and all of that nonsense that truly is a myth. And I know a lot of people look at fitness influencers or fitness coaches like me and they think, how does she do it? Like, she's just different. How is she able to be so consistent? And I know I definitely thought that way in the past too. I would look up to fitness influencers and stuff when I was just the girl that quote unquote like didn't work out and couldn't be consistent. And let me tell you, there's a lot more that goes into being consistent than just being lucky or gifted with motivation. That is not the case. So buckle up. I'm going to give you a little bit of tough love here today, but I'm excited to show you the real key to consistency and what it actually takes to be consistent and to see results. Because as we know, if you're not consistent, not going to see results. Before we get into that, I'm going to go over my high and low of the week, which I call my rose and my thorn of the week, as well as my favorite item / product, which I should just change it to item because I've had food be one of my favorites for now a couple of the podcasts here. But rose for this week. So I golfed yesterday, which was super fun. I feel like my rose is always like something golf related. Not always. It just has been a past couple times. It's just fun. I love having an adult hobby that I enjoy doing. But literally my last shot of the day, hole 18, I needed a par in order to not get like a bad score for myself. I am just always trying to push myself and compete with myself. But it was my last shot of the day and I hit it and it went into the hole from 120 yards out. It was literally insane. It was like getting a hole in one. That's going to keep me coming back. So that was a rose from yesterday. I also signed up a lot of really amazing ladies this last week. It is the last week of my Black Friday sale. I only have 2 spots remaining for my Black Friday sale, 20% off. So wanted to mention that right off the top of this episode, but I've literally been signing up the most amazing women and it has been just making me so excited. And anytime I onboard a new lady that's just so aligned in my program, and let me tell you, I do not sign up women that I am not aligned with. I only sign up ladies I can 100% help. And I feel like, yes, you're the vibe. I want you in my program and they want me, of course. So that was also a good rose of the week, 2 roses. And then thorn, I guess I have 2 thorns for this week too. Nothing crazy, but I was just like sick this past week. It also rained all week, which is very unusual for here in Arizona. And it was cold, rainy. And the first day that it started raining, like I started like coming down with like a little bit of a cold. I also know I mentioned on the last podcast that I started my kill protocol for my gut health phase. So basically I have some bad bacteria in my gut right now we're trying to kill off. And she did mention that you might start to like feel some flu-like symptoms. And I'll be honest, I thought it was kind of a myth. And I was like, I have a strong immune system. I'll be fine. But I think that I maybe just caught a cold from somewhere. And then on top of having the kill protocol with like the gut health situation, I think I just like didn't feel good. So I'm still struggling with that. So that's why if my voice sounds a little bit weird, I've just like been coughing and just like I'm feeling a little bit just under the weather. And I do not do well being sick. Just I have a hard time resting. And I tell my clients when they're sick, rest, whatever. But like, even for me, like I struggle with that. And I love operating at full capacity. And this is one of my biggest weeks of the year as well, just business wise, like on consult calls and doing all this stuff and doing this podcast. And it can be really hard in my brain to be like, take some time off. So I didn't necessarily take as much time off as I necessarily should have, but I also didn't feel like awful. I just feel weird. Like I feel like there's nothing in between my eyes. Like I feel like I'm just like my brain is not working. A little bit of a brain fog situation, if you will. So that was my thorn of this past week. And now it's beautiful. It's sunny. It's Thanksgiving this week. So all the good vibes are happening this week for sure. And then my favorite product of the week, which is again, a food item / like not necessarily just a food item. This is a versatile queen of an item. Coconut oil. I have been literally loving to put coconut oil on all of my food. I have been obsessed with sweet potato coconut oil and sea salt in particular. So yummy. I also love putting coconut oil in jasmine rice and cauliflower rice and mixing it together. So good. A great way to dress up your meals if you want to have like a whole food source is coconut oil. And again, you have to be careful. You want to measure it out just because it can rack up calories very quickly. Like, I don't want you to just be loading up your food with coconut oil, clients, listen. But if you're measuring it out, I do like literally 2 to 3 grams, like not a lot at all. And it just adds so much just delicious flavor. So I have been loving coconut oil lately. And I've still been eating on an anti-inflammatory focused diet. So coconut oil has been really good to just like embellishing my meals. And when I first started eating anti-inflammatory, I was like, this is so boring. I miss a crunch. I miss a flavor. I miss an oil that has stuff in there that's probably not the best for me. But now I literally crave and enjoy all of my anti-inflammatory meals. And I feel like these little micro things, like adding a little bit of coconut oil or olive oil or something that adds a little bit of flavor, just tastes so good. And it's just like this clean source of yumminess. So, anyways, that's my favorite product for the week that I could think of. But I was just making my food the other day and I'm like, coconut oil is just so darn good. And it's from the earth. Like, I love that for coconut oil. Okay, so let's get into the podcast now and talking about the real key to consistency. And I think the first thing I want to mention is that motivation is a myth. And if you are waiting for motivation all the time, you cannot expect to see progress in your fitness goals. If I only worked out when I was motivated, I'd probably be working out half of the time that I am now. And that's saying a lot. Like, that's me like loving health and fitness being my job, but I am not always motivated. And if you think about motivation as like a flaky friend. Like, motivation is a flaky friend who always says like, I'm on my way, and then texts you 30 minutes later and like isn't there, right? Motivation is that friend that is flaky. And so if we think about it in that perspective of like, motivation is going to be something that we cannot rely on, and it's not something to rely on long term. And I know it's great when you're in a season of life that you feel really motivated and excited to show up. And let me tell you, like, I love when I'm in a period of time where I'm like super motivated, but consistency is not going to come from motivation. It's going to come from structure. It's going to come from tiny habits that we'll talk about here in a second. And it doesn't care if you're in the mood or not with that structure and tiny habits that will form. But consistency is not directly tied to motivation. And I think a lot of people think of it in that way of like, well, she's just gifted with motivation. No, I literally every single friend I've talked to in the fitness field, and I know that even there's influencers that like act like they're motivated all the time, but they're actually not. There is a lot of discipline that goes into it and a lot of showing up even when you don't want to. For instance, this weekend, I got home from running a ton of different errands and I'm in the process of trying to like decorate my house and do all this stuff. And like, I was also just like not feeling very great. And I got home and it started thunder, lightning, pouring rain, was cold out. And I had put in my calendar that I was going to go to the gym on that time. And let me tell you, the tiny voice in the back of my head was telling me like, Abby, you don't have to go. Like, you're fine. Miss a workout. But that's where that discipline came in place and the structure that I have in my life. And I said, you know what? No, I'm going to go. I'm going to get it done, even though it doesn't sound fun, even though I only have an hour before I have to get ready for dinner. Like, I'm going to go. I'm going to get a 30-minute workout in. And that's exactly what I did. And let me tell you, after that workout, I felt so much better. And it wasn't that bad. And I think that we can really catastrophize in that aspect of like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so awful. I'm going to show up. It's going to be terrible. I'm not going to feel good. I'm going to come home. I'm going to be so sweaty. I don't want to shower. Like, you build up a big story that doesn't make any sense. And that voice is the voice that you don't want to listen to. You don't want to listen to the voice that is creating this bad, big, scary story about why you don't want to go. You literally just have to get up and go. And I think a big thing too is that a lot of times when people are trying to be consistent, they're trying to be consistent with the wrong routine. And I hate to say it, but you might have to lower the bar for yourself. You're not training for the Olympics. You're not training to be in a bodybuilding show, at least the ladies that are listening to my podcast. Most of them are not training to be in a bodybuilding show. But some of you guys are out here setting goals like you're preparing for the Hunger Games. Like, we do not need to say, okay, I'm not working out right now, so I'm going to set a goal to work out every single day this week, I am going to hit my 10K steps. I'm cutting out all sugar. I'm doing XYZ. Like that makes absolutely no sense. And really, one of the secret elements to my program that really helps my clients be consistent, because a lot of times they have struggled their entire life with being consistent. Then they join my program and they're magically consistent. And they're like, why am I all of a sudden being consistent? It's because you've set this bar for yourself of like, this is what I feel like I have to do to make progress. And that is usually really extreme. And what you find is that you don't need to set that bar at the Hunger Games level in order to see progress. Like you can set that bar at the B plus range and see great results. Of course, if you set that goal for yourself and you're like, I'm going to work out every single day. I'm not going to eat any sugar. I'm never going to drink again. Yeah, you'll see A plus results and it'll be great. But that's not realistic for you, because if you're setting that bar at A plus and you're never able to follow through on that, or maybe you follow through for 1 week and then fall off for the next 2 months, like you're not going to see progress. I would way rather set the bar in the C plus B plus range and have you really commit and follow through with that than set your bar A plus and burn out within 3 days. So I honestly live my life in the B plus range and I am okay with that. Now, let me tell you, my mindset tends to fall in the category of perfectionist. And so I really had to rewire my brain to be okay with that B plus. You have to relax. You have to realize that you don't need to be either 0% or 100%. Fitness is not your full-time job. Maybe some of your fitness coaches, it's my full-time job. But even with it being my full-time job, it's not something that I think I need to be 100% on. You need to find something that you can actually stick to. Couple of examples here. A lot of my clients come to me and they feel like they need to work out every single day for 2 hours a day in order to see progress. Not the vibe, not going to be something they're able to stick to, especially if you have a job, if you're a mom, you have a bunch of different other things that you need to commit to. So a great place to start out with is like, okay, you're not working out at all right now. Let's start out with working out 3 times per week for 30 minutes. Let's start out with a 6K step goal instead of a 10K step goal. I think that that's a great way to start out. If you're doing nothing right now, working out 3 times per week and hitting a 6K step goal is a great place to start. A lot of people, again, think they need to be in the gym for hours and hours and hours and hours every single week. No, you do not need to be doing that. And same thing goes with steps. If you're not doing any right now, do 6K. Great amount to start with. And again, that's a great way to apply that B plus range. Like that's actually going to be A plus for compared to what you're doing right now. Like if you're doing nothing right now and you go to the 3K, or if you go to 3 workouts per week and 6K steps, that's going to make a world of a difference in itself. Same thing applies to nutrition, meal prep. Let's say you're not tracking your food at all right now. Maybe let's start out with tracking 3 days or the weekdays, 5 days per week. That's going to be a lot easier for you than saying, okay, I'm not tracking my food. I'm not doing anything with my nutrition right now. I'm eating with whatever I want. I'm going to eat this 1,200 calorie meal plan and be super restrictive. Like that's way too extreme. And how many times has that actually worked out for you and actually able to lose the weight and keep it off? Probably never. So instead saying, okay, let me track 5 days out of the week, or let me try to just eat more protein at each meal. These are some things that I recommend to a lot of my clients, kind of depending on where they're at on the spectrum of what they want to commit to nutrition wise, or what I think is best for them. And if we can start out with these micro changes within your life, those changes are going to lead to really big results. And I remember at the beginning of my fitness journey, I was not at the place where I'm at right now of like eating mostly clean foods and hitting my water goal and hitting my step goal and doing all this stuff. Like these changes came from micro changes throughout the years. And that's what I practice with my clients. Like I don't just flip their life overnight and say, okay, you need to do XYZ and do it perfectly. No, I'm telling my clients, let's make these micro changes. And then one day you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I've made so many changes, because you didn't realize you're making these small micro changes every single week. And a lot of us live in this fitness mindset of feeling like it's black or white, when it should in reality be what I like to call the 80-20 mindset. 80% of the time you're making the healthy choice, you're working out, you're eating whole foods, but 20% you're living your life. You're going on a weekend trip, you're having some cocktails, you're having a pizza. Like that's where you should live, is the 80-20 method. And if you are truly living that and you're not saying, I'm living 80-20, but it's more like 60-40, you will see results. And it's really not from a bare minimum perspective, but we want to make sure that we're putting in more, obviously, than the bare minimum, but that also doesn't mean we need to be perfect. So we have to be okay with that middle range of not trying to be perfect, but also not putting in the bare minimum. Bare minimum effort is going to equal bare minimum results, and perfectionist mentalities will probably equal bare minimum results as well, because you're not going to follow through. 80%, be okay with the B plus range. That is truly the key to success. Another thing that I like to do in my program is to build healthy routines, not like prison rules or like you're in boarding school or something super strict. I think a lot of people look at fitness and they think about it as this like military crazy routine. And this kind of goes along with my last point of like trying to be perfect. If you're not doing anything right now, like there's literally no point of that. Like you're going to burn out. I think that a lot of these rules that we have in our head are things that we've accumulated and learned throughout the years. So, for instance, some of the ones that I had growing up that like I had to really do a lot of mindset work and break are rules around food. So, I would be like, okay, I can't eat after 7 p.m. Why? Like, where did that come from? It's completely false. And I think that evaluating a lot of the rules and crazy things that you're putting up for yourself, those are rules that you're going to want to break. Like when you were growing up, or maybe your significant other, when they tell you not to do something, it makes you want to do it 10 times more. So if you tell yourself, I can't have any carbs after 7 p.m., what's going to be the only thing you can think about after 7 p.m.? Carbs. Instead of having these crazy rules, think about how can I eat 80-20, 80% nutrient dense foods, 20% fun foods, and eliminating the food rules for yourself. So instead of saying, oh, I can't have that, yes, I can have that if I want to, but is it going to make me feel that good? No. That's one thing I removed from my vocabulary is I used to look at food and be like, oh, I can't have that. The only food you can't have is food that you're allergic to. I'm allergic to nuts, so I legit can't have peanut butter, and I can say I can't have peanut butter. But if you're constantly saying, oh, I can't have that croissant, I can't have whatever, and you don't have restrictions around that, like that's going to be something that is very unhealthy for you mindset wise and food wise. So flip that mindset instead of saying, oh, I can't have that, to saying, I can have that, but like, do I want that right now? Like, do I want that to be part of my 20% of the day? Like, not really worth it. I'd rather have a glass of wine at dinner. That's how I like to look about it at it. And another like mindset thing is saying like, okay, I missed my workout today. I failed for the week. That's so dramatic. You did not fail. Maybe ask yourself, okay, I missed my workout today. How can I make up this workout later this week? And putting a time on your calendar to do that. Or saying like, I must run 3 miles every single day. That's not realistic. Like, why are we making these crazy rules for yourself? Instead, have a routine that fits into your life. So I gave that example of working out 3 times per day, hitting 6K steps a day. That is a great routine and something that you can reasonably commit to. I want you to think about your routine as something that you mock up and you're like, yeah, I could commit to that. I was literally just texting one of my clients today about our routine during Thanksgiving, and she was a little bit worried about like, how am I going to stay on track with my fitness goals during Thanksgiving? And we literally created a bare bones basic routine of, I want you to hit your water goal for the day. I want you to focus on protein at each meal. I want you to commit to 2 to 3 glasses of alcohol. Obviously, no alcohol is best, but having a couple of glasses during the holidays is, a pretty normal thing for a lot of people. But instead of having, 6 glasses of wine, like let's have 2 to 3. So having these micro commitments to yourself and making these things that are part of your routine is a really great thing to just have as a anchor for the day. And consistency like should be flexible. Like we don't need to have consistency be this thing that's like, if I don't do this, then I am a failure. No, you're not. Like perfection is only going to lead to disaster when it comes to your health and fitness goals. And so like sometimes like you might have to miss a workout. That's okay. 80-20. For instance, last week I was sick and I didn't feel very good. I didn't hit my steps every single day. I wasn't functioning at my ultimate capacity, but I still said, okay, what are the things I can control? I can control my nutrition and what I put in my body and taking my supplements and getting 8 hours of sleep. Like there are always going to be things that you can commit to. And by falling victim to that all or nothing mindset of like, well, I'm either all in crazy, let's freaking go, or all out, you're going to, if you break that mindset, you're going to feel so much better because you're actually going to be able to do and reasonably commit to something year round. One of my like best compliments that I get from a client on a check-in is that they maybe are on vacation, they're enjoying themselves, they're using a lot of these habits that I'm teaching them to make progress even while on vacation, but they come home and they say, I was so excited to get back into routine. Like I want your routine to be something that you look forward to and you wake up and you're like, okay, these micro things make me feel so good. I actually look forward to it. And I'm not saying that you have to wake up every single day and be like, yes, I'm so excited to work out. Oh my gosh, like toxic motivation. Like, I don't even feel like that. But for the most part, I do wake up every single day and have things that I look forward to. I love my nutrient dense breakfast. I love having my coffee after breakfast. I love going on a morning walk. If we can have these little things that you look forward to and you're excited about, that is so important. And especially from the perspective of you want to feel good. And that's what I love about my routine is that it's something that is so individualized for every single person of what makes them feel good. But once you find that and unlock that, and sometimes it takes another person with an unbiased opinion, like me looking at my clients and really tweaking their routine to become something that they fall in love with. And I think it's so freeing and exciting to have a routine that you genuinely love and look forward to. And I think the next step with that is really coming with an identity shift. And I think that when it comes to consistency, what also comes with that is having a big shift in your identity. You're no longer the person that is just trying to look good in a bikini for summer, or the gal trying to get ready for her wedding, or always in that cycle of like, wanting to look good for her birthday or a party or a reunion. You want to feel good when you are old. One of the things that I think about and I really think changed my entire perspective on my health and fitness is that I went from being a short-term girl of like, I want to look good in a swimsuit. I want to look good in this dress. I want to look good for this boy. I want to be able to sit on the toilet when I'm older. And when I had that identity shift, it was truly humbling because, yeah, like wanting to lose 20 pounds is fine. Wanting to have abs in the summer is great, but your goals aren't going to keep you consistent. And these short-term goals are not going to keep you consistent. What will keep you consistent is your identity. And if you shift your identity to like, you're just the type of person that eats healthy. You're the type of person who takes care of your body. I'm sure you have a friend that you can pinpoint in your head that you're like, yeah, that girl has always been consistent. I can tell you, she hasn't always been consistent. She has had an identity shift. And suddenly the habits are just something that you do and is your normal. And so a lot of times when clients are new, and I went through this exact same process, they come to me on their first check-in and they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't have wine every single night last week, or I tracked my food every single day. Yay. At some point, that's just going to become your normal. And you're going to look back and realize, wow, I didn't realize how maybe poorly I was treating my body before. And with this identity shift, it's just now what I do. It's just something that is part of my normal. Like act like future you. What does future you want to do? What does future you want to feel like? And I guarantee you, she's already consistent and she's already showing up and doing that. And you really have to just embody that version of yourself in order to get there. And I think when it comes to consistency, a big portion of why people like me and other people that you look up to are consistent is because they've removed the friction from some of these choices. If you ever think to yourself, like, why am I not getting to the gym or why am I not eating healthy? Really think about the basic root of why that is. And a lot of times it's this thing called friction, like I just mentioned. And I'm going to be honest, I love to be lazy over here. The less decisions I can make on a day-to-day basis, sign me up. But lazy also means that you're efficient and you're doing little micro things to remove friction. So for instance, if you are always missing your workouts and you ask yourself, why am I missing my workouts? It literally could be something as simple as you get home and you're like, oh, my workout clothes are in the laundry. I can't work out. Or oh, I don't want to wash my hair. I can't work out. Or, oh, shoot, I didn't make time. I didn't put on my calendar. Yes, I can't work out. Remove the friction. Have your workout clothes already laid out. Have on your calendar the time you're going to work out every single day and treat it like a meeting you're not going to miss. Figure out your hair washing days. I don't care. Like it's not that hard. And same thing goes for nutrition. Like instead of getting home and being like, oh my gosh, I have nothing to eat. Make that grocery order, meal prep, have things in your freezer that you can pull out in a moment's notice. Remove the friction and look at your life as like, where do I normally fail? And don't set yourself up to fail. Like for instance, with me, even like I always have things in my freezer. In the event I come home, like for instance, like from golf yesterday, and I'm like, I have nothing to eat. That's great to have things already on deck. And I think that looking at your life is like, where can I set myself up to not fail, and where do I typically fail, and putting little things in those pockets makes it a lot easier. So like lay out the clothes, keep your water bottle right next to you. I always have my hydro jug here. If you have quick protein sources always in your cabinet, like it's going to make it a lot easier. It's not about being disciplined, it's about working smarter, not harder, and removing those friction areas of like, well, I'm just kind of this way. You don't have to be. Remove the friction, remove the things that make it harder for you to work out. Maybe your gym is too far away. Do some at-home workouts. I don't care. Get it done. There's always, there's a will, there's a way. There's going to be a way to get it done. And I think the bigger picture mindset thing as well is like, if you do end up failing, like if you do have a bad day, you have to quit the all or nothing mindset. You have to be nice to yourself. Give yourself some grace. You're human. A lot of the ladies I work with, their moms, their sisters, their wives, they're all these things. Like you're gonna have things that come up within your life, and instead of expecting everything to always go perfectly, like expect there to be times that are hard. And to be honest, like what you do next is what matters. I love the book Atomic Habits. I talk about it literally so much. I feel like I mention it every podcast episode. But one of the topics he talks about is break the chain. So don't have the same day twice. So for instance, if you don't work out one day and you say, I'm going to do it the next day, follow through on that commitment to yourself. Or if you have a day where you just go completely over your calories and binge eat, don't make it happen the next day. Break the chain immediately. And do not drag yourself. Do not fall victim to the rumination in your head of, I suck. I always do this. I'm a person that can't lose weight. I'm this, I'm that. If you are talking to yourself in that way, I can promise you, you are never going to lose body fat or get toned or whatever your goal is. You're never going to do that. If you're talking to yourself like a friend would never talk to you, like, would you ever talk to a friend like that? Like, oh yeah, you're never going to lose weight. Like you're never going to lose it, Andrea. Like, I'm sorry. Like you suck. You're XYZ. Like name calling yourself. If a friend said that to you, like you probably would be shocked, disturbed. You probably would not want to be friends with that person. At least I wouldn't. So don't quit. Don't spiral. Say, okay, what are 3 tangible things that I can do tomorrow? I am able. I am committed. I am healthy. I am human. And that's why I made this mistake. Reset. And consistency is really just a chain of fast resets. The quicker you can reset, the quicker you can get back on track, the better you're going to feel. And I like to think about it as like ripping off the Band-Aid. The quicker you rip off the Band-Aid, the better and the faster you're going to get back on track. So give yourself some grace, but also mix it with accountability. And I think that that's where having a coach or someone to be like, you need to get back in track. It's a spicy blend, but it's a good one because you're like, okay, I don't want to fail for this person, but I also don't want to fail for yourself. And so whether you have a coach or not, you need to get back and give yourself some accountability, but also give yourself some grace as well. And I think like the real overarching secret to any sort of accountability and consistency is to make it simple. And what I love to have for myself and have my clients commit to and do is a list of non-negotiable habits. What I find is that if you set non-negotiables and day after day, you're completing those non-negotiables, you're really building this trust within yourself that you can do anything that you set out to do. And at the end of the day, you're in control of who you want to be. And I think we lose sight of that. And one way to build that control and to build and empower you to make decisions that are advantageous towards your goals and who you want to be is to create these non-negotiable habits. So I personally like to have 3 non-negotiable habits that every single person has that makes you feel really good. And of course, like we want to do your entire protocol, an entire program and hit your steps and do all this stuff. But if there's 3 things that you can commit to, that is going to help build that consistency. And you can always build on those and have extra credit things. But even when your life is feeling chaotic, crazy, and all you want to do is lay in bed and do nothing, these 3 things are what's going to get you out of bed, continue the cycle and the movement forward. And so some examples of this, my non-negotiables, I drink my water every single day. I have protein at each and every meal, and I get movement every day. So those are my three non-negotiables, whether movement looks like a walk, whether movement looks like a workout. I'm getting movement in every single day. I have not missed this in years. The protein, have protein each meal. Simple. If you're not having protein every meal, you're choosing not to have protein every meal. I don't care. That's my hot take of the day. And then water, getting water in every single day. If you're not getting water in, you're not going to feel energetic. Your digestion is going to be crappy. You're not going to feel good. So those are my three non-negotiables. I recommend that you maybe follow those. Maybe there's other things that you're like, I know I need to journal every day, or I know I need to do yoga every single day. Great. Your non-negotiables can look different from mine, but those are just some things that if I do every single day, I feel so much better. I'm setting myself and my body up for success, and I am just a better version of Abby. So those are all of my keys to being consistent. And I hope you all found this episode helpful, or even just picked one small things that you can incorporate to your everyday life from this. And I know it was a mixture of tough love and stuff, but I really want you to reflect on truly what is the root of what is holding me back from being consistent. And I gave a lot of different things, from your routine to friction to your mindset and looking inward. And I know it can be really hard sometimes to look at yourself and to say, yeah, that's one area of my life I have been slipping up on. But I promise you, once you look in the mirror and realize what those things are, and you're able to get to the root and address that, you're one step closer to being that version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. So I hope you have enjoyed it. If you need to share this with a friend or want to share it with a friend, I would absolutely love that. Make sure to subscribe, do all the things that you want to do, comment down below, and I will talk with you all next week. Bye.